Film and Beyond. I'm your host, Alan Tracy.
And I'm Rahana Power.
And today we have Taylor Clement with us,
Hello.
Hi.
filmmaker,
Welcome,
right?
Taylor.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're very excited to have you and learn all sorts about you. So, diving in before we get into the film of it all, can you tell us something fun, unique, interesting about yourself?
Yeah, okay. So something fun and unique. I don't know if it's too fun, but I'm actually 2 years sober from alcohol. A little bit over since is that on Christmas was my as my date. So
Hmm.
I since doing that, I got really into winter cycling and just like cycling in
Oh.
general, bicycling.
Hmm.
Um, I got into paddleboarding, really just like the lakes that are by here. That's my place. I love to paddle the lakes and to bike. Basically just like once I quit drinking, it was like, what do I do with my time? Because, like
Hmm.
with the pandemic, especially, that's when, like we weren't doing anything and a lot of, just like sitting at home and you would pretty much drink. So it turned into
Hmm.
like, and that's just like a huge part of the like climate here,
Yeah.
especially in Minnesota. I have a lot of time spent in Wisconsin too. So yeah, I was like, what do I do with my time now? So yeah, I was like, okay, exercise and
Mm.
yeah, winter cycling, which I never was another thing is that I'm not a person that loves the cold. Like I grew up just
Hmm.
like hating it here. So getting
Yep.
out and, not having the vice anymore has just been
Yeah.
such a cool thing and really helped me just kind of like get out there more and meet
Hmm.
people and all of that. So yeah, that's my
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, that's fabulous. And wait, I don't know the proper, I think, way to not congratulations, way to go. Good job.
Oh yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
know.
thank you.
Whatever's the right way to, yeah. The good things. And
Oh, yeah.
that's really the winter cycling thing is really interesting to me. Because yeah, I see people like we live on a trail that actually goes out to like Lake of the Isles and everywhere. Um, and there's like big groups of cyclists that come through even now that it's 20 degrees, 15 degrees out. And I'm like, what? This is a thing? So is
Right.
that, do you
Right.
do that with like a group or are you just like, I'm going to cycle when I want, like on your own?
Yeah, I do it on my own.
Okay.
I haven't really broken into any groups.
Hmm.
Like I think I just saw maybe it was NPR or some. There was a story on Instagram that was like a group of people that did, went all the way out to I think like Minnetonka or something, or
Yeah.
yeah, they went pretty far out to
Hmm.
that big lake that's out there. I'm
Yeah.
blanking on it, but yeah, that's where they went, and it was like a full day thing. Not really my thing. I'm very, very specific. Like don't want to go out too long. Want to make sure I
Hmm.
Hmm.
bring all my stuff. Don't, I worry still about
Yeah.
the cold and, if I start to sweat,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's not good. I got to get my layers and everything. I actually had my winter bike was stolen out of my garage
Oh no.
last year. Yeah.
No.
So yes. And I had to then, just bike indoors. And actually, luckily last year it wasn't that bad. So I could,
Hmm.
use my other bike. It wasn't like super snowy, but you got to have the good tires. And I mean, I
Yeah.
had studded tires. Those are like,
Hmm.
necessary when it's super icy, going out on the lakes.
Yeah.
And then also like the fat tire. I was like, do I get fat tire? Do I
Hmm.
just stick with the mountain bike? But I guess like fat tire is really like it helps you skirt over the snow so that you're not like digging into it. Because I tried going on the lake like with my standard mountain bike tires and
Hmm.
you cut right in and you just like get stuck immediately
Oh
and
no.
like look around all embarrassed. So it's been a lot of like trying things on my own
Hmm.
and taking a lot of risks like winter cycling and paddleboarding was some two things that I had always wanted to try. The paddleboarding was all brand new to me. Didn't grow up with that kind of stuff, so it
Hmm.
was like yeah, getting like out on the water for the first time, and then actually also standing up. All of that
Yeah.
was just totally brand new. So yeah, navigating it by myself
Hmm.
is kind of how I prefer it. But I like again, social media is great. You talk to a lot of people, meet a lot of people that way. But yeah, I haven't done any like group stuff because it just seems like it would be too stressful because I feel like I'd be at the back,
Right.
and I'd be like, I gotta go home, guys.
Yeah.
It's too cold. So
Yes,
yeah,
no kidding. Yeah,
yeah.
I will admit I love paddleboarding. I've fallen in love with even just like the whole concept of it. I've done it a few times on the tiniest of scales. Um, but I love that I love when you see people on paddleboards out on the lake with like their dog on the end. Do you do that at all, or have you not tried that yet?
I've tried it. I got actually it was me and my husband and the dog. All three of us were on the paddleboard up at the
That's awesome.
cabin over the summer. It
Hmm.
was impressive. Because yeah, like all the stuff going on. Like we had family there, so the dog was like,
Yeah.
was like, is she gonna do it? Maybe because I
Right.
haven't done it myself. That's where I'm worried about like bringing her down to the lake and then
Hmm.
like actually getting her on the paddleboard and I'm worried if she jumps off because she can't swim.
Oh no.
So,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, I mean, she can like do the paddling thing, but she needs to be like chest height, like
Yeah.
water, level. So, yeah, I haven't actually, that was one of the reasons why I did the paddleboard because I wanted to have all that space so that she could be on there with me. But
Mm-hmm.
then, it was all of the fear of even starting and doing it myself. And
Yeah.
then it was like, okay, now I have to incorporate the dog. Okay, how she's going to jump off. I have to get her a life jacket, all that
Yep.
stuff. So, but was able to do it and she did fine. She did so good. So I'm
That's
excited
awesome.
this summer to actually get her. And she's senior dog now. She's like
Oh.
11. So she should
Hmm.
be pretty chill. She can still jump up and get going, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think she'll be a lot more chill and I won't have to worry too much. Plus, the lakes are really
Hmm.
shallow. Like there's
Yeah.
so many ways to just like get to the shoreline. Going on big lakes, I haven't done any river paddling,
Yeah.
but like being on a big lake is scary. Like even Bade like being out there on the paddleboard, if it's like rough and choppy,
Hmm.
it's quite intense. You're just like, oh, like you're
Oh, no
actually
kidding.
doing the sport as opposed to just like, so yeah.
Oh, no kidding. All right. I could talk about that stuff all day,
Yeah,
but
I'd say.
that's not why we're here. Can you tell us a little about what you do in the film world?
Oh yeah. Lately with film, I've been pretty lax. Like my last thing it was pre-pandemic where I did like an actual, we were gonna do our own no budget feature film
Hmm.
and it fell apart
Yes.
because the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So it was like just this huge it was demoralizing in a way. It was like, okay, we raised all this money. We did like Seed and Spark and it was all
Yeah.
crowdfunded.
Good.
Yeah, and then so we got to that point and it totally fell apart because there was just no way we could
Mm,
keep. We had like elderly people and there were a lot of people who were like going through their own transitions in life. It was like we just have
Man.
to stop. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, unfortunately had like kind of a falling out. It's up in the air with that, but more of a falling out with the producer that I was working with. So
mm,
it just didn't pan out. So really just been sticking with photography lately because that's
yeah.
where, like I've been enjoying the creative side of it.
Hmm.
I felt like, once I got out of school, I jumped into photojournalism and then I did some like marketing stuff. And it was just you know, not really the thing for me. I really love the creative side of it and
Yeah.
getting to know my flow and because you have like all these big ideas, especially in film school, and so you get to the point of actually like seeing them, and it if you don't have that amount of time, to like actually like see what your work looks like.
Hmm.
It's just kind of I'm very grateful for the time that I've had where I've been able to just focus on photography. Um, so yeah, the last thing that I did, I was doing like a multimedia specialist work for Bloomington Public Schools. So it was actually like award-winning work. That's where I was like, this is something that I could totally do is documentary.
Hmm.
We did
Hmm.
some it was a monthly vlog with the superintendent. So it was a very interesting project. I think they got, some grant money outside of COVID to kind of pursue that. So it was like, I can do whatever I want. It was very, very cool. So yeah, those turned into really fun projects. And it was the closest I really like got to film. So lately I've been doing, focusing on my photography, doing photography lessons, doing photo walks, trying to sell my prints.
Hmm.
Please buy my prints. um, because that's just where, it feels the most raw, where it's like if someone can have, my art and put it up on their wall, it's like
Yeah.
that's my vision. You've got it.
Right.
Whereas like with film, it's I love the wet duck analogy because it's just like it's on your, water off your back and then it's gone and you just
Hmm.
don't see it ever again. Hard to go back and, rewatch things that you've made. That would be something that I would do while when you're in the project, you can rewatch it. A couple of months
Oh,
later, it's like, oh, that was so cool, but then it's just gone.
yeah.
So that's kind of something that I've really liked with photography. It's like I can see all my work and prints are expensive, but I can still print some stuff here on my printer and
Hmm.
whatever. But um, yeah, that's just been kind of my thing lately. Beyond that, I've been working on scripts. I have, lots of ideas. I write things and then it just kind of,
Yeah.
um, and especially having that project under my belt, the failed movie, it's
Mhm.
very daunting because then you just kind
Yeah.
of like go, is this even gonna come to fruition for anything?
Hmm.
And knowing how much it all costs and knowing how, much work it takes, especially when you take it all on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like
Oh
the
yeah.
issue was having all of the roles, all of the duties. We were very sparse, very limited crew, obviously no budget. So it was like, where I'm gonna do everything. And, like my co-producer, she'll do whatever she can do, but it was, hiring crew and paying crew and,
Hmm.
pre and not post production, but as much post as we could do.
Hmm.
I still have the footage, so maybe we could do
So
something with it.
maybe
But yeah,
Yeah.
you're
exactly,
telling me there's a
exactly.
chance.
There's a
Right.
chance. I have rights to it.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you have Final Cut, you're good. Um,
Yeah, right.
I know exactly what you mean because I just we just wrapped a short film, not a feature, but I can only imagine. Um, because I've made one short film and it was or one feature and it was like unscripted and no budget, of course, just very yeah, um, challenging, I'll say.
Super challenging. Yeah,
Once you
you're
hit,
just not really.
yeah, did you ever get to like done with production, done, or was it?
No, yeah, we were about like a third of the way through shooting, and
Hmm.
it
Oh,
just that was when it all hit. It was like the next shoot we had planned was with, it was a family dinner scene, so it was like
yeah,
all of the elderly
Oh.
folks in a close space, and I was just like this is blowing my mind. Like what do we do? Do we go for it? And I was like, no way. I couldn't
Hmm.
possibly with the risk that was involved.
right,
And then there were people who were like, you need to have like COVID guidelines and have that was the other thing is we didn't really have safety
yeah,
Hmm.
I really wanted an intimacy coordinator.
Mhm.
It was an interesting thing because the script was written by the co-producer, and she also wanted to act in it, which was something I was like, you know, not super sure about. So it was kind of like this pseudo, let's try it while we
Yep.
were doing it.
Mhm.
So like a lot of the shoot days, it was like, this is our rehearsal. Um, and
Mhm.
yeah, so like she was acting in it. This is just a whole can of worms, but it was just not really the thing
We
that,
we we don't have
yeah,
to get into it if you don't want.
yeah,
That's yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay.
that's fine.
We're and now we're moving forward. So I did see that you worked with Charlotte Marie Bailey on a film. Is that right? For
I
Z
did.
Fest?
Yes, that
Pre,
was for Z
like
Fest.
essentially before it all struck, I'm assuming is when you guys shot it, I think, right?
Yeah, that was
Or
must have been 2019.
yeah, because
Yeah.
it looks it I was checking it out. It looks like it's the one with the glasses for 2020 vision, so to speak. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they had those weird glasses they made everyone have in their films.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
can it just be glasses, not just this pair of glasses? I mean, are we getting a
Right.
rate on this or?
Yeah, no, that didn't make any sense to me at all. That was my first time doing anything Z-Fest
Oh,
related. So
really?
I
Okay.
was like, wait, we have to have glasses and didn't quite figure it out until like the
Hmm.
end of the production. It's like, oh, you
Mm.
can get like, yeah, it was a it was good though. I had a lot of fun. Charlotte was awesome. That
Yeah,
was,
Charlotte
you know,
Marie.
it's so weird to look back on that. And it's like that was that long ago. Oh my God, it's like almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was good. She needed somebody to kind of like shoot the commercial part of it. So she wanted somebody else to do that part and to film it, just so that it would look completely, like it wasn't shot by the person who was shooting the Z Fest film. So it
Mhm.
worked out really well. I had a lot of fun, and definitely that was my entry into the film industry here. Um,
Very cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
What I have to ask, because from one DP to the next, what did you shoot on? What was your camera?
Oh, I was shooting on my Sony A7R II.
Oh, wow, a
It,
7R. Okay.
yep.
Okay.
It was a choice at the time. Everybody I knew in school was getting the A7S. And so
Hmm.
I was like, well, I'll get something a little different, you know? And that camera is awesome.
Okay.
It's great for photography.
Right.
It definitely, shooting S-Log on it was interesting. It was,
Which S
and
log
then
was it? Was it like two or three then?
I think it was two.
Okay.
It
Wow.
was one of them. It didn't have like, it was pretty flat and there wasn't much, you could do to fix it, which was interesting. And then we
Oh.
shot with uh, a Promise filter. So it was, to make it look
Oh,
even extra
okay.
dreamy.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
I was, excited to see where that would go,
Yeah.
but it definitely was. I wasn't going to be the one to edit and do color correction and grading. So,
Oh, who was that?
oh
We'll
my
have to,
gosh,
do you know?
yeah,
I guess I don't know.
that was so long ago.
Well, we'll put the link in the show notes. So yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
So
Oh
people
my
can check it
God.
out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the A7R2, that was my go-to. And then I was
Hmm.
shooting on the Rokinon Cine prime lenses.
Oh,
Yeah, those
manual
were,
focus then? Were
yep.
you doing? Ooh,
With
tricky.
yeah.
What was your
Yes.
aperture,
I mean, I would
do you
always try to
think?
shoot, I would shoot pretty shallow. Um, but I would try to stick with the 35 millimeter and just do, pretty shallow. So like I got just a slider, a motorized slider to
Okay.
kind of help with
Yeah.
some
With the
moving
focus.
in and
Cool.
yeah, so like it was very, very subtle movements. a lot of experimenting with that
Right.
in lots of different locations. We had a lot of locations, restaurants, and we were shooting a lot though at her cabin or her house actually. It was a like a cabin. They
Hmm.
did like maple syrup and they had
Ooh.
chickens. So that was the plot of the movie was that it was like a woman who just lost her husband and she was pregnant,
Mm.
and basically just going through that, but in Minnesota and Wisconsin. So kind of like, hitting on all the dry um,
Wait,
humor and path.
which film?
This is for Bittersweet. That was the one that,
Oh, for
yeah.
Bittersweet. Okay, not for Dream Killer. Okay, gotcha.
Right, right. And that's the camera that I stuck with was,
Okay.
yes, so that's what I always used. I never really rented or anything like that. So that's
Yeah.
the one that I
Hmm.
used for Dream Killer. That's what I used for Bittersweet. Yeah, and then once I got into the marketing, that's when I got my FX3 and was sticking
Oh.
with that after.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. I have an
Yeah.
A7S III, so basically an FX3, just few differences, of course, yes. But
Yeah, yeah. And like that's the thing too, is I never really got into like the gearhead side of things. So, like I love cinematography, but I don't, you know, really, really get into the nitty-gritties of like what the camera is or, anything like that. It's just like I know what
Hmm.
works. That works
mhm,
for me. I'm gonna keep doing that. Um,
right.
Hmm.
I like that you've had kind of experience across a lot of different things. That's you've done, sounds like marketing, ads, and corporate maybe type things and film. Like, do you have I guess with obviously photography is kind of where you've landed currently, but do you have like trying to think of the right way to put this, like you want to focus on the art more and but at the same time you want to make money. Like how do you balance that type of approach to your career, I guess?
Hey everyone, we've got 20 plus episodes up for you now on our Patreon with lots of fun chats, some really great guests.
Yeah, and join for free and get extra episodes for as little as $5 a month. You can join in the link in the show notes. Check us out at patreon.com/film and beyond.
Yeah, the money side is new because that, originally I was like, this is more like, especially with photography, it was like my hobby.
Hmm.
Right.
And I never wanted to, you know, um, blow up or do anything like that. So yeah, like to manage that has been interesting. Especially with social media. It's like
Yeah.
that's kind of where I hope to grow from there. Um, but yeah, like it's just the side hustles, to kind of keep it going. Otherwise, yeah, it's tough out there for sure. Like right
Hmm.
now I'm definitely in between jobs. So like I've been, applying to a lot of different things just to have that security.
Hmm.
And which is so tough because it's like I really want to get into more film and like I said, I have my scripts, I have a lot of ideas and even documentary, that's my favorite. I love documentary. So
Okay.
yeah, like it's up in the air, you kind of just go where the water takes you, right?
Hmm.
The not necessarily the path of least resistance, but yeah, it is not easy. That's the one thing I wanted to make like clear or to put it out there for people because I don't know what they see when they see me. It's like it's very, very hard if you want to actually tell your story and it, there's so much that filters it out.
Hmm.
In film school, it was that first entry into it. You,
Yep.
you know, you make your documentary, you show it to your professor. and then they start tweaking it, and it's like that's not my idea anymore. It's tainted with
Hmm.
you. Um,
Yeah.
so it's just so like, again, like I said, I would love to and do dream of telling more stories, and uh hope to kind of marry that with my photography. Because
Hmm.
there's still obviously lots of storytelling, lots of video that goes into like my social media.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like, oh, if I could just get to that point of, like I've got my script, my idea, and I mean, yeah, it's
I feel your pain because it's
yeah.
like you're behind the camera, but you have to be in front of the camera to show that you're behind the camera. It's like
Mhm.
you have
Yep.
to you promote yourself, promote your brand, I suppose, is one way they put it. So it's just kind of like, well, where, like, how do I present myself that way or whatever? Yeah, so I
Yeah.
feel you on
It
that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's been an interesting process, and it's just like you just kind of take it one day at a time, and keep
Hmm.
moving through. Just hope that something pays off. You keep pitching, reaching out to people. Hope that someone bites to something. I've been trying to at least just submit more of my photography to magazines, and
Hmm.
um, try to get out to coffee shops and just anywhere so that I can,
Like
like here's my stuff. This is me. Because yeah,
art
I mean,
art shows too,
yeah.
or
Yeah, I would for sure would love, yeah, anything like that. And I've been looking at um like things like Art of Whirl, and
yep.
those but there's still, you have to um it's not like too steep, but it's a couple $100 where you have to and then you also have to have your prints and have some kind of a setup. So it's
Yep.
a also financial thing
Yeah,
Hmm.
the
to get
trade
into
show
that as
setup, yep.
well.
Or
Yeah, so
cons now. There are a lot of cons in town, so they have a lot of artist alleys. So typically they're
yeah.
more fan-based art, but yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
See,
you. Mhm.
oh no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I wasn't really.
Oh, I was going to say, you mentioned that you, like, as you've really started to focus more on your photography, you also do like lessons.
Yeah,
Um, do you have like whole little like classes kind of a thing, or like virtual, um, lessons,
yeah.
or how do you go about that?
So this is a new thing that I'm doing. But yeah, so I want to be able to do one-on-ones. But basically, yeah, just like giving tips and tricks for photography. I got really into like intentional camera movement. So just
Hmm.
like long exposures, sweeping motions, um, and just like that really was something that people liked of mine. So it was like, oh, okay. And people are like, how do you get that? So that's where, again, with social media, it kind of helps you follow that path. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's what people really like. So I'm going to do that. So yeah, like the plan is to have actual lessons, in the spring where people will come out with me, and I can do virtual as well. But you know, there's I feel like just kind of endless opportunities there. It's just about
Yeah.
like how do you get people to want to keep coming back.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's just like spreading out, having more things that people can come to. So like Patreon, like
Yeah.
that's a new thing for me. Super brand new. So it's like there's not a whole lot over there, but the goal is to have more people come to that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the the plan would be to, help anyone with like I've had a lot of people who say that they just use their phone for photography. It's like, okay, well
Yeah.
we can still work with that. But basically just like even in the smallest amount, like if you're sharing your knowledge anywhere,
Hmm.
it's going from one mind to another. And
Yeah.
there's um and it's just like, it lives on outside of you. That's my goal and my plan is like anywhere that I can have people come and you know what I mean? Like it's just it's all brand new. Because this last year was just a lot of like building my account. I went from like
Hmm.
300 followers to I think 1400. So it was
Wow.
like, oh, that's amazing for me. It was just like this brand new thing. So um yeah, just kind of like hopefully. That's what a lot of it
Yeah.
is. It's like hopefully.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Do you find that, I mean, it's either way you're looking at it, whether it's photography or filmmaking, I mean, it's holistically art. Um, do you find that one inspires you in for the other at all? Or once you're kind of focused on one, like right now you're focused on photography, like you're pretty like I don't want to say silo. Can't think of the term, but like you're just super hyper focused on that, and it's not necessarily bringing any ideas where you're like, "Ooh, I could do a documentary about this," or I could like expand like what I'm focused on right here.
Yeah, so I mean, like I've had ideas of ways to kind of incorporate the photography, like an idea for at least for Z Fest was about at the beginning of January, and I was like, oh, I could totally just throw something together,
Yeah,
but just like
with
nature
your
shots, and
phone.
it
No, I'm just kidding.
there you go. Hey, the phone is actually pretty dope. I don't know, like compared to
Yeah.
the FX3, I was like, oh my God, because I got the new. I don't even know what phone this is, but one of the newest iPhones, and
Hmm.
it shoots pretty well.
Yeah.
So you know, but yeah, I really thought about doing something that was like nature focused. And that is what I was hoping when I went to school. I wanted to do
Hmm.
more like wildlife um,
Oh.
and stuff like that. So it's just like, I had like a longer lens, but it was only a 200 millimeter. It wasn't quite good enough for wildlife photography.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
not enough for wildlife.
No, it's not. It's
Okay.
not. 400 is like the
Oh,
where you want for photography.
okay.
Yeah, it's just not enough. And also, it was a crop sensor
Oh,
lens, so it
well,
was
that
just like
kind of makes it 400.
it kind of did. Yeah, it was like, what is this right now? What am I shooting right
1.5
now?
times 200. Carry the.
Yeah, it's just too much. Carry the
Yeah.
what? Yeah, so. Um, that would be something that, like I've been thinking of incorporating to because I'm trying to think what you had said earlier made me think of something. But basically, like you think and you probably do. It's like, for example, if you want to shoot a documentary or
Hmm.
you want to write a book, um, and it's just like really, really hard to do that.
Hmm.
And so like you're it might not look like how you want it to. But the point is to at least get something out there. So like
Yeah.
if you want to write a book, but you can only offer an ebook for free on your website. It's like, oh, I don't want to write an ebook. And even for me, it's like that's something that I'm also working on is an ebook of just like my photos and then doing the like a little bit of poetry because that's what I've also done
Very
in the
cool.
past. So, and just probably the caption that I put under the photo, but just to create like some kind of nice ebook and then it's free.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like, I want to make a movie. I want to make a documentary. How do I get there from where I'm at right now?
Yeah.
And, can hope for some goal, but maybe some kind of a miracle could happen.
Hmm.
Or, and you still keep putting yourself out there and pitching, but like to like that hyper focusedness is to, really stick to how can I make that work all in
Yeah.
one kind of. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I did watch your documentary here. It was the one, I think it was from maybe your school days. I couldn't tell.
Mhm.
Outpatients, was it?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Yeah, about
that
prescription
was
drugs and yeah, talk about your process with that. Like I know understand maybe it was school, but um yeah, how did that help develop, or did your documentary passion, or also you mentioned that someone else may have made some adjustments to your films, so let us know like did that, so I don't know.
yeah. Yeah. So that process was it was my favorite documentary that I've like done.
It was well done. I liked it. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it was a lot of like footage from archive.org and just like
Hmm.
random thoughts. Was going through a lot at the time. It's a very personal documentary for me because I've, known a lot of people who had addiction issues, and my dad was actually someone who dealt with a lot of prescription drug use, alcohol use.
Mhm.
So it was like, this is such a personal project for me, so
Oh,
perfect. And I had a friend who, Miles was the guy at the end, the third interview.
on the
He
ladder.
was just, yeah, on the
Okay.
ladder painting the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just kind of all spur of the moment. And just pieced it together from there. So that one actually, it didn't really get touched too much by it was just my professor who took my other projects and was like, I don't know if I like that. Maybe this is the way you want it. And he would just like grab the keyboard and do
Mm.
stuff for me. Great teacher. Definitely learned a lot from
Oh,
him,
okay.
but
Okay.
that was a lot to take in because it was like that was like, you'd make a save, you'd have your previous save, but it's like, this is the guy who's telling you that's the way to do it. So
Mhm.
it's like, okay, I think I'll leave it, even though I hate it, so,
Yeah.
but that, I didn't really have a whole lot of, he respected the vision with that one, I would say. Um,
That's good.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
it's definitely my favorite of anything that I've worked on just because it was so personal and what it originally was like long clips like the Bill Maher stuff like I just
Hmm.
played out the whole thing.
Okay.
And so that was something that he had suggested, my professor. He was like, don't do that. We want it shorter so that you can keep
Hmm.
people interested.
Mhm.
So that was something that stuck with me. It's like, okay, how do I keep people interested? Because I love forcing someone to watch something. Like, I just think that's awesome. It's like, no, you should watch the whole thing. Like, I don't want to
Mhm.
parse it.
Gotcha.
And
So
Mhm.
you like to keep the context in it, not just like you said, parse it out based on what
yeah,
you want to cherry pick out of it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
nice.
The context is, I just think, so important. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
the the music too, like just the
Yeah, I noticed that.
vibe.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's kind of the it's so long. I haven't even watched that in so long. Trying to
It's new
think
to
of.
me, so I was like,
Yeah, of course. I was like,
yeah.
oh my God, you watched that. But yeah, it's I'm trying to think of like what else was in there because
John
it was the
Oliver
three
clips.
John Oliver,
Yep.
yep. And
Um,
it was really hard because I wanted to show like all the sides that I saw,
right.
I guess, which
Mhm.
was, like support for pharmaceuticals and the real impact that they can have on somebody. And then, someone who's just like does not agree with them. That was my favorite. Everybody loved the line where I think he was like, I don't remember what it was, but he was like, fuck Reagan. And it was just
Oh,
like
right,
that,
right.
that was
Yeah,
the thing.
I remember
Like,
that one. He was just like Reagan, like
yeah.
on the ladder. I was just like,
Oh, it was
I could
so
see that
good.
getting a laugh in like a theater or something.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he, like that was my foray into like using my Zoom H6 just for audio capture. So I remember
Oh,
having a
okay.
lot of
Huh.
issues that day, and
Yeah.
he was super quiet at points. So I don't know why it
Mhm.
was just like it would fluctuate so much, and then it would flatten out instead
Oh
of like
no.
going all the way. Yeah, so I had to lower all the audio because I was just like
Oh,
super new into it. So it was when
yeah.
he said that part, it was so quiet. So we had to do a lot of tweaking just to get it to
Just to
be
get the
audible.
audio.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you could probably get it to where you want it, but back then,
Oh yeah.
it was
Back
just,
then.
yeah, and we're saying like 5 years back then, it's
Oh yeah.
like,
Oh my gosh. No, I mean that was while I was still in school, so that was a while ago. It was right after I got my new camera and I got the Zoom and um yeah, so
is
I
this
remember like
A7R 2 days? Is that the new camera then?
that
Okay.
is the new camera. Yep, yeah. I didn't have anything that I could shoot on. So that was a big goal too, going to school was to
Yes.
get my hands on something. Um,
Something, right.
Hmm.
mhm.
Hmm.
It was just like go play. That was what my professor said. It's like, oh, I can go play with a camera that's not mine. That's so cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was not even something that I thought I would ever do going into film. Even as much as I loved it, I was going to school for biology and had been doing creative writing.
Hmm.
So it was like something happened. I had personal stuff in my life, and I was like, screw it, we're gonna do film. And yeah, super happy I did because I got the opportunity to do the documentary. Because after that year, they cut all those programs at that school.
Oh
So,
Whoa.
and they
no.
like combined theater and film into one thing. Um,
Ugh.
yeah, so very, very lucky. They had I think they had a graduate program too that had also been cut, but there was just like one student hanging on still.
Oh.
But it was like they were just dropping like flies, like all the programs, all the people. So it was a very interesting time. I feel very lucky to have gotten in 'cause it was
Right.
just such a really, really, really cool people. It was the first time because going from biology, the sciencey stuff
Hmm.
into art because I had done some
Yeah.
creative writing, but it didn't feel the same. It was still
Hmm. Hmm.
pretty dry. So getting into the community, a small community, it was just like, oh, I can be creative. And it still is really hard to be like call myself an artist, which is, I'm sure that's much more common, but it's like I never thought I would follow that path. So that's why part
Hmm.
of the figuring everything out now is just so like, wow, I'm so fortunate, but
Hmm.
holy crap, what do I
Yeah.
do? So, yeah.
So you're focused on your photography right now, really trying to grow and expand with that. Do you have um like I want to say plans, but ideas for I'm thinking specifically documentary because that sounds like really where your passion filmmaking wise is, but um anything where you're like, okay, well, in the next 5 years, I would love to make this or attempt this or try and pick this back up.
I mean, I've always wanted to do part two to Outpatients, where it would be
Hmm.
the not necessarily part two, it would probably be like a lot of part one, kind of expanded
Hmm.
into a full piece or something that's about 40 minutes.
Very relevant now, especially if you talk
Yeah.
about insurance and prescriptions and you name it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Mhm.
just like you get so overwhelmed with all of the possibilities, and
Hmm.
then
Mm.
also the work that goes into it because it's like, oh, I could just go and interview anybody, and I could, because all my experience is just like doing it by myself.
Yeah.
So it's just like I know that it would be easier to do with other people.
Hmm.
So it's just like then you have to plan with like photojournalism and everything. So used to just going out and getting the thing and then
Yeah.
turning it into something. And that's kind of how that was in a lot of ways. Like what I like about documentary is that no planning. Like you get the interview, you get the footage, and then you kind of throw it into a story from there, which is
Right.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
made
much more preferable. Sorry, what?
right. I I was just gonna say I did one documentary short, and it was just about a fighter, and the idea was he was going to return to the octagon, and it was, but it never, that day never really came, and there had to be a point where I had to stop, make, shooting things, so, and then find the story within that. So it was just, yeah, it's like, how do you go about finding your story? Is it just based on the content, or do you normally have kind of a main idea, I suppose, in mind?
Yeah, there's something of an idea because I've seen so many things. I don't really do a lot of that, like writing it out, planning. I'll write the interview questions,
Hmm.
and especially depending on what it's for. The
Mhm.
last, like the stuff that I did that got the national recognition. Um, for Bloomington Public Schools did a lot of like little ads for their BCCA Bloomington Career and College Academy. So that was like my idea was to make those more documentary based and have just an interview and then footage, on
Hmm.
top of it. It's very like, pack the classic package for news is just you get your interview and you shoot your footage and then you come up with something out of that.
Mhm.
And so I've tried to explain what it is to obviously to my employer and to other people before, like
Hmm.
how do I do it, what is that, and I don't really know. It's kind of like just this flow
Hmm.
once it starts to happen. So like I do design the interview questions a little bit so that I'm getting really really interesting answers. um,
Yeah.
and I also like to ask my questions, so then I can kind of, because when I'm there, then you feel everything, and then you throw it on the timeline, you cut all your little sound bites, and then it's like a song, basically, because then you're
Hmm.
just like listening to the flow of this of the things that they say, and also again with like you're saying, Ellen, with context, that is something that I really don't even worry about. It's like um, the proof is in the pudding or whatever. Like if it's there, it's going to come out. So like one thing that I think about often that when I worked at for WDIO up in Duluth, that was my first job. We
Hmm.
did a story for it was a sort of nursing home that up in like Hill City in Minnesota, which is like super rural. And the story was about how they were having issues. They were being told that they couldn't run basically because they were running out of a house, and it was very not a classic traditional nursing home. So they were getting shut down, was the story. And uh, nobody told me prior, like you need to make them look good because it was a news story.
Hmm.
So I just ended up shooting the place. And getting back to work, they looked through my footage and they were like, wow, this place looks horrible. It's like, you made this place look horrible. And I was like, that was the place, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it was just such an interesting, it's like that it will speak for itself.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
so that's why I like to, if I'm shooting the footage, I also like to know what those interview questions are
Hmm.
and what is going to come out of the things that they're saying so you can get that vibe and know what you're going for. Because it was
Hmm.
like nobody told me. This is the place. I mean, and so they sent another photographer, like the chief photog. They sent him up to actually get more footage because they were like, "All your footage makes this place look like crap." And and he saw what it looked like. So it was just yeah, that's what I would say is like, to have the knowledge of the content especially those interview questions, super vital.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
did did they not that they didn't believe you, but what didn't they get about the footage that made it look bad, when it was just the footage? I mean, is that just
Yeah, it was
seems like
just
a
like,
weird reaction, I guess, when it's like
Like, why would you do that to this place to make it look bad? Like, what?
it's like
Like, what did I do?
what?
yeah, exactly. I still think about it to this day. Like it's very, very interesting to me because it was something
Yeah.
that at the time I said I wanted to, save the footage because I thought it was a very interesting story.
Hmm.
The reporter that was on it, he was very green, and I think that was kind of the issue. It
Ah,
was like I
okay.
had a vision for the story, and he was trying to say that they were in the wrong, and it was like it's super, super gray and super hard to like put it into perspective. It was one of those things where it's like, what's going to happen next?
Hmm.
And what is my opinion on this? Like, I don't even know my opinion on this. So that's
Hmm.
kind of it too,
Hmm.
is like you're discovering how you feel about something
Yeah.
as you're pulling it out. So it's like, I'm just going to tell people what I think about it. And
Right.
Yeah.
you're gonna watch this and it's gonna be, an ad or a documentary, but it's literally that's just what I think. And that's part of too with like the photography lessons and stuff. There's a lot of insecurity to that. And I think that, you just have to, you're not telling people how to do it. It's literally just my process. Like I'm just
Hmm.
telling people my process.
Yeah.
Um,
You're not a
yeah.
professor from the place, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, not yet.
Yeah. They need it. The program died. So
My God.
yeah.
Kidding. Well, can you tell us how people can get in touch with you if they maybe want to work with you on a documentary, or if they want to take photography lessons, or if they just want to check out your
Or
photography
yeah, they need a camera
and
person. Yeah. So
yeah,
for
maybe they're
their
like,
Z
Yeah.
Fest
hey,
film.
I really just want a beautiful nature print. I want to take
Hmm.
a look at your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, for sure, Instagram, that's my go-to place because that's where I am all the time. My website, my Patreon, super brand new. So if you start on that, like you will be getting so many little gifts. It's something that you pay for, but at this point,
Hmm.
like since it's so new, you're not going to be paying because I'll like give you free things and all of that. Like that's the new place for basically just to be able to get in touch with me.
Hmm.
That's what I would love to be able to get to. Like, and I don't know yet, but with Instagram, like, I feel like we're always so accessible now. It's like this, there's no way to
Hmm.
turn that off. So that's something that I'm kind of slowly working towards is like, yeah, I'm on Instagram, but I want you to go to my website. I want you to be on my Patreon, come to my Discord. That's
Hmm.
also
Oh,
new.
a
Um,
Discord. Okay.
yes. Yeah.
Very
So like
cool.
just to be able to have a place where, like it's separate,
I
it's a
like
unique
it.
community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on Threads too, like and then Blue Sky is that new
Yep.
one.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so
Yep.
I'm over on those. Threads is interesting where like I get a lot more reach. It's
Really?
just like this brand new thing. Yeah, it's
Huh.
Interesting.
so surprising because I was like, I'll just post a photo over here and see what happens. And the first one wasn't that crazy, but yeah, I kind of had a little bit of experience with it because I also do have it's like my little private account, but
Hmm.
it's my recovery account for
Hmm.
quitting drinking. It helped a lot with quitting drinking. So like
Hmm.
I would post to threads from there and one of my things it just like blew up, got like 3,000 likes. It was like,
Wow.
holy crap. Okay, so there is something here.
Hmm.
Right.
I guess like if I hadn't have had that, I wouldn't have known that there was something there.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, like Threads is interesting.
Yeah.
Um, Instagram, I feel like is just like dying slowly every
Yeah.
day, but that's I'm trying to bring life to it a little bit.
For
Um,
sure.
It's a photo-based app, so it's like that's where it started.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's
but where
what
it's
one
going,
would hope. Yeah, no,
Right.
it's totally like they changed the grid was the craziest
oh,
thing.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was wild.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I don't think, I mean, there should be the option to, do whatever you want with it. Like
Yeah.
it's so interesting that
Mm,
it's gotten the way that it is now. And then with the algorithm, I feel like I'll be like talking to myself sometimes with it. It's like,
yeah,
why
Yes.
is it showing me this? And that's a lot of it is like, why am I asking? Why is it showing me this? Like, it just is like I shouldn't be wasting time wondering why I'm seeing this
yeah.
post. So,
They're
but
all
I'm on
chasing
Instagram.
TikTok. That's what's going on.
Oh
That's
God,
what's
yeah.
going
And
on.
so
Hmm.
that's something is I avoided TikTok because of the addictive nature of it. I just
Yeah.
could not
Yes.
couldn't do it. It would be like way too much time
Speaking of addiction,
spent.
yes.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly. So yeah, I never did TikTok except like recently now with all of this, I was like, should I get a TikTok? Oh my God, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I'm still trying to be on all of the socials and
Right.
um if you yeah, certainly email me. You can always it should have my phone number on my website. You can call me,
I'm
text
interested in
me.
your Discord now, so I'm gonna find that.
Yeah.
No,
Ellen loves
absolutely. It's
Discord.
okay, because I have very, very little knowledge on it. My husband is super, super into that kind of stuff.
Is he a gamer?
He is, yeah, he
Yeah,
does
that's why.
like
Yeah.
old school RuneScape streamer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
Oh. Yeah, no, RuneScape, I'm not into that, but he has been doing it and has like this account that he's been doing for since like high school or something. Like since he
Oh
was like
wow.
12 years
Yeah.
old, it's the same account. So he's like built up everything and has quite a bit of I have no idea, but it's like the odds of getting things like you'll just like mine for stuff and
Mm-hmm.
it just is it takes forever. So
Yeah.
Huh.
he's been able to find things that are super rare and so he's trying to like tell people how to do it now too, which is
Oh, I
interesting.
see.
Oh,
Okay.
very
Um
cool.
Does he have a Twitch
yeah,
also?
he does. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
He
He
streams.
does. He streams. He's
Yes.
all into it. Yeah.
Love it.
Nice.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's
Are you streaming?
no.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, I do game though. I do my
Okay.
I love to play Fallout. Fallout 4 is my thing that I've been
Ooh,
playing a lot lately.
that
Because
would be,
Nice.
it
yeah.
mirrors life right now. I'm just like waiting for life
Oh
to love.
no.
Oh my
No, not
goodness.
really.
Great series
Not
though. I
really.
like the series a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's super awesome. New Vegas is great. That's probably my favorite, but Fallout 4 has been so fun just playing the DLCs. I'm in Far Harbor right now. That's what I've been.
I'm more of a
It's
cyberpunk game player, so hence, I
there.
mean, you got Keanu Reeves, so it's kind of like,
Yeah. No, that's
I don't
fair. Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm more like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. There you
yes.
go.
So,
Absolutely.
Sega, all of that.
Mhm,
If
mhm.
it's not 1992 Sega, then I don't know what we're doing here.
What was it? Mortal Kombat 3, right?
Yes, yes. You blow in the cartridge, hit it, get it in there. That's my idea of a solid video game right there. Uh,
Yes.
um, all right. Well, Taylor, last question, the big one. Uh, what do you want people to remember most about you? Whether it's from your filmmaking or from your photography.
Or in
Oh
general.
my gosh.
Or
Oh
yeah,
my
in
gosh.
general.
In
Good
general.
point.
Just your filmmaking. No, I'm just kidding.
Only that.
Right, right. Well, that's the I think too with trying to come up with my movie or my documentary. It's like, what is this thing? Like I have my
Mm.
memoir. I want,
Hmm.
um yeah, I don't know. I just think that it would be really cool if people could look at, my legacy and see like um you don't have to do the traditional way, and to, like push boundaries, and to stand up for yourself, that kind of thing. I think that's probably the most important thing, especially now with AI, is that individuality.
Hmm.
Do you stand out, on your own, right? Because it's just so hard lately.
Hmm.
Like like I said, with AI, and I don't really know, but it just seems like there's a lot less, like creativity, that's like solely ours.
Hmm.
So that's what I would love for people to see, is like, wow, she, ruffled feathers or something like that. Like it wasn't just, yeah, like I would very much, and I guess I'm just thinking of this now, you're helping me a little bit, because it's like, yeah, I really want to, push boundaries, ruffle feathers, stand up for myself, and be different, but to just for people to hear the things that I have to say, because isn't
Hmm.
that what we all want? It's like, listen to me. I want,
Yeah.
but yeah, that would be my legacy, is that I would hope that people would see that I'm somebody who doesn't bend to the traditional, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and hanging out with us. It was really lovely having you on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been cool. And I was kind of like surprised a little bit, we'll just say, that I was like, oh, they're
Yeah,
asking me to be on the podcast. So cool. So yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
no, it means a lot. So I really appreciate it. And definitely don't be strangers. And hopefully we see each other out and about in the community a
Hmm.
little more.
Right.
I feel like so.
After this
Yeah.
minus sub-zero weather, we'll definitely be
Yeah.
in the community.
Yeah,
We'll,
right,
we'll go
right.
back
We
out.
need it after this
Back
one,
out
yeah.
around people. Excited
Hmm.
for spring. Will be nice to
Yes,
be out. Yeah, for sure.
exactly.
Yeah, and check out the Discord. Also, yeah, like
Yes.
you can certainly watch. I'm so surprised you watched all my old stuff too. I was like, ah.
Whatever's on YouTube
Oh,
is
yeah.
just like you
Yeah.
can bring it
Yep.
right up. Yep.
Oh
Love it.
yeah. All right.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
to all of our listeners and viewers, this has been Film and Beyond.